Hey everyone, this is Sharon with the Cozy Junk Studio. I have a dark and moody video for you all. I'm going to be introducing you to some new products that my friend Beth over at Aunt Bee's Attic has sent me to try out, and I am having some fun with these products. Now, all the links for any products I mention is going to be in the description box below. Click on that link to get yourself over to Aunt Bee's Attic for her great prices and super fast shipping. And if you use the link, I do get a small percentage to help out with the products that I use to bring you these videos. So help a girl out and go on and click on that link in the description box below to get your products. The first project in this video is this plate-like wall hanging art that I'm painting over. It is a two-piece, and we're painting this with DIY black velvet, beautiful muted black color. We're giving it 2 coats, and then we're going to do something super special with this. I can't wait for y'all to see these. I'm going to show you my inspiration piece off of Pinterest right here. Now these are real specimens, and that's kind of what we're going for. We're going for a faux specimen look. We're going to be using the IOD transfers in Entomology and Mio's pages. You can get these also on Aunt Bee's Attic. What I wanted to do was put a butterfly in the center of these to mimic the photo from Pinterest. To get that look, I'm going to be using IOD's Entomology and their Mio's pages for some moths and butterflies. I'm also using the little tiny pink molds you'll see here. I think I ordered these from Amazon or maybe AliExpress. I'm really not sure, but they're really tiny and they're going to fit perfect on these edges. I went ahead and made my molds in advance. I used the amazing casting resin. I will also have that linked from Amazon below. I'm going to be gluing these with the triple thick, I'm pretty sure it is the Tite Bond triple thick glue. If not, it is the original, and I will have that also linked below from Amazon in the description box. What I'm doing is, again, mimicking these little trims from the original inspiration that I'll pop in here. Look at the trims on this one. Aren't those gorgeous? All right, so let's get back on to the project. Once I get these glued on and dried overnight, I will be using a gold paint marker. I really wanted to use my rubber buff, but I could not find it. I eventually did, but I'll be using this metallic gold paint marker. I will also have that linked in the description box below to highlight these. I do first put a coat of the black velvet over them to make them blend in with the black paint, and then go back with the gold. You'll see coming up. This marker was very easy to use. It went on well. I didn't really have to put more than 1 coat on. It's very nice. I do love the rub and buff. You have to press down to get it started, which was not a problem. Once it got started, it just worked perfectly. Now that we have that on, we're going to use our DIY Dark and Decrepit to seal this in and to tone down that gold. You all, I love what this Dark and Decrepit does over black paint, and then of course over the gold. I do use my misting bottle to help smooth this over and thin it out some, and from it not to make it more clear than brown looking. Now that I let that dry, we are going to put these beautiful butterflies on here. I think these are both butterflies. Y'all correct me if one of them's a moth. I think maybe that left one is a moth. I should have looked them up, but I didn't. So we're going to use these to place in the center again to mimic those specimens. And I'm going to be putting the things that I make in my new booth. I have finally gotten another larger booth, and it's going to be kind of very vintage and dark and moody. So I'm making some special pieces to go in it to start out with. I'll let you all know more about that later when it does get open. These transfers are really easy to put on. You just take your little plastic tool that comes with them and rub until they come off the paper. Lift the paper while you're rubbing. Now I'm just putting the second one kind of in the center, lining up my 2 wall pieces to make sure that I get that second butterfly where I want it. Now, as you can see, there are some leaves stuck to it. I'm super bad for laying my transfers, the little pieces around, and they end up sticking to each other, but it does not affect this butterfly coming off here. Now, don't forget, the photos will be at the end of the video, as well as the vignette of all the pieces. You'll have to let me know in the comment section below which one is your favorite. Do you like Dark and Moody? I want to hear about it, even if you don't. We have already sealed these once, but since I put a transfer on, I'm going to go ahead and put a light coat of clear polyacrylic all over the piece just to make them blend in. This next piece is just a salvage box. I've been picking up boxes along the way because I love adding metals and hardware to them. I have painted this the DIY black velvet, and now I'm going to go ahead and seal that because we're going to do the drippy, messy experiment that I love to do, and I want to seal in this black paint so I don't lose too much of it. I will tell you, I was recommended to do this to not lose so much of my black paint, and it really did work out great for this project because I did not want the yellow box showing back through. If this would have been a natural wood, I probably would not have sealed this black paint, so I could have wiped more of it back. With the clay paint, you can wipe it back. If you seal it, you can sand it back. So coming up, we're going to be using some new products that my friend Beth over at Aunt Bee's Attic sent me. She sent me a beautiful set sample of the Paint Couture line, and I've had these gorgeous hardware in my stash, and this paint just ends up going so beautifully with it. This is the eggplant color. It is a mineral paint. It is great for furniture and cabinets, but I'm using it on multiple different types of substrates in this video, and you'll see how smooth it goes on. It's a very thin paint with great coverage. The Paint Couture line is made in the USA. There are colors of Sweden collection, so many other colors. The paint line has a prep. It has metallic paints, glazes, textures, and even top coats. She sent me some decoupage medium, and it works wonderful. You'll see that coming up in this video too. I will have the Aunt Bee's Attic Paint Couture link in the description box below. Click on that link and check out this line of paint, you all. So here you'll see I am using my brush to flatten this paint out and to spray the water on it to get it to do that drippy effect. I'm adding it where I want it to start at and where I want it to stop. I'm going to be using my mister to help facilitate that. I'm also going to be using my drying tool to dry the drips in places that I don't want them to leave or to drip too far. And then when I go back over it with a different color, it just gives this beautiful effect. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. I'm really interested to know if you like this type of experiment, as I call it. We are going to be adding some of the DIY cherry pick to this to play off of that beautiful burgundy hardware that I'm going to be adding to this. We're going to do the same thing with this as we've done with this Paint Couture paint. We're just going to smear it on. We're going to spray it, get it dripping, and we're going to dry it some. Once I get this how I want it, I'm going to go ahead and stencil on here. Now, I have not sealed this yet. I did or not get on camera the footage of me taking my rub and buff that I found, the antique gold. I took it around the corners of this whole piece. I'm now going to be using one of the Jamie Ray vintage stencils. I think it's the Apothecary set. I'm going to use my black velvet DIY paint to stencil this little sign on there. I'm not going to be using the dashes, just the text. I love stenciling words or text on the sides of these boxes, putting the transfers, This turns out so pretty. Wait till we seal it, you all. Those colors are really going to come out. I want these colors to pop, so I'm going to be using the polyacrylic gloss or satin, maybe it's gloss finish, that I've been using. I've just gotten used to saying polyacrylic clear coat. It's not a matte finish though, and it really brings out the drippy effect on here and that stencil. To tone that rub and buff back, the antique gold rub and buff back, we're going to go ahead and use some black wax on this to kind of tone the whole thing down and give it a little bit more aged look, and it just turns out so gorgeous. Let me know what you all think of this one in the comment section below. Before we add this hardware, I'm going to black wax it to give it an aged look as well. Not that it's not already aged, but I just wanted a little bit of black wax. And then we're going to add some rub and buff. Now, don't end up using both of these pieces on this piece, but I do end up using both of them on another box and this box. I went into my stash of screws and found screws that was short enough to go through this box but not too far to come out the back side of it. I'm just going to use my drill and put a couple short screws to hold this handle in. Now you can use glues, especially like those JB Weld glues, but I am just going to go ahead and use screws for stability. Now we're going to add some of that gold rub and buff to this, as well as some black wax to have those screws blend in with the rest of our box and our little pull handle. Now don't forget, the photos are going to be at the end of this video. This next little project is my favorite. It's this little Rooster hand painted box. I'm sorry, the Rooster had to go. It was raised, so I did sand it off. I've given it almost two full coats of the Manor Green in the Fusion paint line, which is beautiful. I love this color. Now we're going to be doing some fun stuff. I've gotten 3 of the DIY clay-based paint colors in Gypsy Queen, Salty Kiss, and Aviary. We are going to be doing a little bit of blending here on the front part of this. I'm also going to be using some of the black velvet. You'll see that a little later on. So I'm going to just start out with some of my green paints, and I'm going to start with the brighter of the two. I don't know if that's brighter, maybe lighter. I don't know. I just wanted to start out with this color, kind of putting it around. This is really the first time I've blended this way. I mean, I've seen it done before. So I was just, again, experimenting. I thought, you know, I really want to do the ombre effect or the blended effect. So here we go. I'm going to end up using my little mister bottle to kind of help that all blend in together, and just play with it until I get it how I want it. I think I let it dry a little bit even in between and then go back even more. I was just rubbing some of the paint off there, if you've seen, just to help blend that in even more. Now, see, it's dried there and it doesn't look great. Don't get discouraged. I went ahead and got rid of that really stiff brush, and now I'm taking a softer brush and going right back over top of that to get it the colors that I want. And these colors are really going to pop once we put that clear coat on. You can just see here as it's finally coming together, or at least I can, to the colors that I'm wanting. Now I'm just leaving that green on my brush, and I'm grabbing some of that black. I worked out of the lids of my paints. That way, if they do get blended, I can just wipe them out instead of having to, you know, put the paint out everywhere for each color. I just worked out of the lids. Just got it wetter and just kept blending until I got the colors that I wanted. And once it dried, like I said, and got that clear coat on, it really turned out great. I can't wait for y'all to see this. I know you saw a little thumbnail of it in the YouTube thumbnail, but it really shows what this ends up being. I had no idea when I bought this box that it was going to end up being a specimen box. I really thought I was going to end up using this as like a recipe box or something. It's kind of a weird box. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever seen a box like this? Wait till you see. The lid opens up and well, you already seen it. The lid opens up. It's just kind of a weird box. I don't know what it was for. So as I was doing that front, I was thinking, you know, I'm going to take some watered down of the black velvet and just go over the whole thing, almost like a black wash. I have a couple pieces of green furniture that I bought that are vintage, and they have this black wash, and I was thinking, ooh, what if I do that to this? And it just turns out so pretty, you guys. Well, I don't know that it's pretty. It's very neat how it turns out. All right, so we get that black wash on there, and then get everything dried and let it sit and cure a little bit, and then we're going to add some transfers to this. This is where the formation of the specimen box started, when I was thinking about the transfer from Mio's pages. All those butterflies, I was thinking, I'm going to put the butterflies on the front of this and turn this into like a little specimen. And when I started flipping through, I saw all those insects, and I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to use those and to turn this into, like I said, a specimen box for someone that might have this interest or just find it fascinating like I do. So I went with the insects on the outside. And then on the inside, I used something a little different, but you're going to see that coming up. So I just cut these out to how I wanted them placed on there to get as many as I could. I really liked how they were laid out on the page or on the transfer sheet, but it just wasn't going to work, so I just cut them out and then repositioned them myself. Now, I love this big old guy. I thought he just was perfect to go right there in that corner, and just to finish off the front of this with transfers. Now we're going to use this Paint Couture Decoupage Matte Medium that Beth sent me from Aunt Bee's Attic. I'll have that again linked in the description box below. We're going to be putting this in the bottom of, or putting this decoupage paper. It's a Tim Holtz, I'm pretty sure it's called Entomology. And we're going to be putting it in the bottom of this drawer. You can get this on Amazon. I'll have it linked below as well. And I'm just cutting this to size for the box, and I'm going to, or for the drawer, I'm going to put a thin layer of this decoupage matte medium down. It is very thin to begin with. It's super easy to work with. I wish I would have painted this first, but I didn't, instead of leaving it the green. However, when it dries, the white does come back pretty good, so I was not as disappointed as I thought I was going to be. I honestly thought about painting over this piece of the decoupage paper with the cream colored paint and then putting a new paper over it. I've done that before, but I decided not to do that because it just looks very antiqued. So, like I said, we're just going to do a thin layer of this, add our little piece of paper, and I usually use saran wrap, but I had a little plastic bag laying there, so I just grabbed it and used it to do the kind of saran wrap method with the plastic bag. It was really easy. And I went ahead and used that decoupage medium to just put a thin layer over the top to protect that paper. Next, we're just going to add these butterfly transfers on the sides of the drawer, so when someone opens this, they'll have a nice little surprise. Once we get that finished, you're going to see that the paper dried from the drawer in this next part, and it was quite white, so I went back over it. I was so worried it was not going to show up from that green, but I had to go back over it with some antique wax just so that it would, well, it's antique glaze from Fusion, just so that it would give it more of an aged look. So see, I was worried for no reason. Once I put decoupage in a drawer or on something, I like to go back over with the green paint or the paint of the color and kind of mute those edges out so you can't really see where the paper starts or where the paper begins. Get ready for it. The magic is coming up. All those beautiful colors of green is getting ready to pop. I wanted to go and put that transfer on before I sealed those beautiful green colors, and now that we're going to seal it with this polyacrylic, those colors just come out so pretty. This box does have a lot of steps to it, but you all, I love doing all these steps, and I know it's not for everyone. I do appreciate you all watching and commenting, even though this is not your jam. Now that we have that dried, we're going to go in with this black wax, and we're going to black wax this up and give it some more even aged further look. Now here is where my wheels started turning. I was thinking, what am I going to do with this space here in the top? And I was thinking, do I have something tiny enough to fit in there? And I remember having this little tiny gold basket, and I went and grabbed it, and it fits perfect. Because the box is angled, it slides back in there and the box closes great. But I could not put a bright gold basket in there, so we are going to do some aging on this basket. We are going to start out brushing this with some black velvet just to get the base started. Then we're going to go in with some of the green that's on the box, and I think I end up adding some gray wax and some antiquing bronze to this as well. I knew I had to have some little specimen jars in this basket, so I found these, and the lids were very silver, so I decided to use some of those waxes on the lids to age those up. Then while I was doing that, I was thinking, why don't I add some of this bronze to the box, the green box? So I did that. It just started spiraling at this point. Now we're going to work on this this top of the box, and I'm going to start this out right because this is a napkin. It's very thin. It's nothing like the Tim Holtz paper. So I went ahead and painted that just a creamy color. I think it was actually Champlain from Fusion. Let that dry, and now I'm adding this napkin to that area to kind of make it have a cool look. I don't know. I just decided that I wanted something in there, and I was pulling out all my papers, and I had this napkin, and I thought, oh, well, that'll work. We're going to use the Paint Couture Decoupage Medium, Matte Medium, for this decoupage napkin, like we did in the drawer. And like I said, this stuff works wonderful. I'm just using the stuff out of the lid, and it goes a long way. And this time I grabbed a piece of plastic and just used that to rub my napkin down onto the decoupage medium. And saran wraps in a ball works very well for this too, but if you got just a piece of plastic, that'll work. And then we're just going to seal the top of this with that decoupage medium to finish it off. So for the inside of the lid, I really thought that I should use that space to put something cool, and when I started out with this, I started out with the insects, and then I thought I'm going to add the butterflies, and then I thought, well, why not just add some mushrooms, you know, make it a complete several different specimens box. So I'm just adding these mushrooms to here, and I'm going to add a few extra into that corner that's missing. This was easily to put on there. I didn't need to separate these because they fit very well on the lid. Now that we have those on, we're going to go ahead and polyacrylic over them, let that dry, and then add some of the black wax like we did the other transfers. Our napkin is dried, and I'm going to go ahead and just take some sandpaper and sand down and get that edge off of there. And add some of the antiquing glaze to that just to age it up as well, like we did the other paper in the drawer. And then take our Manor green paint and go around the edge of that paper to make it blend in with the paint. You guys, I feel like I'm repeating the same things over and over and in sing-song. It's late while I'm doing this video, so I'm sorry if it sounds that way. We're going to add this antique looking label to the front of this and put the word specimen in it. I've printed this off of my computer onto a piece of recycled looking paper. I'm going to cut this out and age this up by wrinkling up the paper. I'm just going to wad it up in my hand, and then I'm going to get some of that Finnabair antiquing wax, and I'm just going to rub it over it to make it look aged. So I dug out some screws that were short enough to not go through the face of this drawer, and we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to use my drill, and we're going to get those screws attached to that and be done with this part of the project. We cannot forget to antique those screws to make them blend in with that plate. So I'm just using some of that rub and buff gold and then going back over with some black wax. I'm going to add my label in there, but I really wanted to put just a clear piece of plastic to protect that label. So I'm just going to slide it in. You could, at the beginning, glue the clear plastic to the back of the metal label, but I felt like it was fine with that in there, and whoever, if they want to replace it with a different label, they can just pull both out and then stick them both back in. We're going to move on to the compartment, the top compartment of this little box, and I really wanted to add something to the metal basket to be able to grab a hold of and just pull the basket out. I found this old leather keychain handle in some of my junk, and I just cut it apart, and now I am using my crocodile to make a hole in this. Then I'm going to cut a little slit and then make another hole. So the first hole is going to go around the wire because it's round, and then the slit's going to make it go through, and then I'm going to use the last hole for a brad to secure the leather piece together to hold on to the basket. I hope that made sense. I am going to add some fabric tack or the 3-in-1 glue to also help secure that leather to stay together with the brad. I will link a crocodile and the fabric tack in the description box below, along with all the other links. I will also link this silicone mat that I constantly work on. I did have a viewer ask me about it. I thought it was in my links. I got it from Amazon as well. So just look for those links below. Once we get this leather piece on there, it's kind of bulky on the end, so I do take my scissors and kind of round off those edges. And because I cut it, the leather looks fresh, so I just add some, I think just some dark wax or either some dark and decrepit to that to age the end of it. I thought it would be fun to go through this specimen box completed with you all. So we are opening up the first compartment to see our cute little mushroom transfer, and we're going to pull out our little specimen basket. I'm taking the cards out so I can show you the finished piece. I did put a little transfer frog in the back. I thought that was so adorable. We have 3 jars here. I filled that one with little faux butterflies and butterfly wings. That one is little mushroom specimens, and this one is little labels for whomever gets this to add to their collection. I also added some of these specimen or animal insect cards with a frog, a butterfly, and I think a spider. I thought that was really cute. And now the little drawer, I had some of these jars already made up from a previous project. That one has a metal bug in it. A lot of this stuff is from Tim HOLTZ line, and I'll put some of that in the description box below. I also have that last bottle with a spider and the little lens. It's a faux one, it doesn't work, but I thought it was really cute just to add in like you were going to look through it at your specimens. I'm just showing you here where I pull the box out and how the piece looks all together with the box pulled out and the lid opened up. That little basket just fit in there so perfectly, and I thought the cards, I really wanted to add them, but they were too big for the drawer, and I thought, oh, I could add them there. Now, I did include a few other little pieces. That is also from the Tim Holtz line, and some other things that I thought would be cute. Some larger specimens that would not fit in the jars. And this is a little junk journal that I made probably a year, maybe longer. It's a mushroom journal. I actually designed the digital of those mushrooms that you'll see myself. I have digital files that I sell on Etsy. I'll also leave that link below. And I'm just going to do a cute little flip through right here for you all. This would be neat if someone does, if I do sell this and they want to document about their specimens that they collect, if they go on hikes and, you know, plants and trees that they see, or insects or animals. I really thought that this would be so cute to add to this. I'm so glad I made this a while back, and it fit. I never would have thought that I would put it in this type of video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. It's a little outside of what I normally do, but I do love junk journaling. I just changed to a different type of decor with this channel, and it has brought me so much joy. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of this little flip through. Our next project is going to be a simple one. We are going to be using some of this beautiful paint couture paint that my friend Beth, as you all know, has sent me from Aunt Bee's Attic in the color Eggplant. Like I said, this paint goes on so smooth and the coverage is wonderful. Once we get a good coat of this on here, we're going to go back with our cherry picked from DIY, almost dry brush some of that on, and to give this a couple different dimensions and some depth, we're going to let that dry and go back in with our DIY Dark and Decrepit, and this ends up so beautiful, kind of like the box we did earlier. Then we are going to add some of the Tim Holtz wallpapers with some gorgeous butterflies to give this a specimen look of its own. I'm just cutting this down to fit this frame. And you all, I love how this turned out. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. What do you think about this one? Don't forget that the completed photos will be at the end of this video, which we're almost there. This next project, I am sorry, I did not get where I put, I cannot talk, I'm so sorry. So this looked like it had a lid on it. It's got two handles, and what I'm going to do is fill those holes, even though normally I love holes and that, you know, kind of salvaged look. But I want this to look more like a box with handles versus it's missing a lid. So I filled that in with some of the DAS clay. I let that dry. I am sanding it back just a little bit to give it a smooth look, and then we're going to add our beautiful Fusion Manor green paint to this. You guys, I know I'm still crushing on green. Next, we are going to add some of the Entomology and I think the MOTH pages for my OD on this box as well. And remember that little piece from the box we did earlier? I didn't end up using. We're going to add that to this. But before we do that, let's add some of this beautiful ROYCYCLED paper to this box. I purchased this from Aunt Bee's Attic, and I have been in love with it ever since, and I'm so excited to use it today. The link will be in the description box below. I am adding the Fusion paint in the color Champlain and letting that dry before I add my decoupage paper. I'm using that same decoupage medium from Paint Couture on this piece. And look how easy, you all. I go ahead and take a piece of plastic and get this rubbed down. The decoupage medium, it just works beautifully. We are going to seal that in with the decoupage medium on the top. You will notice that some wrinkles show up, but those lay down. They dry down. I don't stress about them too much, even if they don't. I love the vintage look. We are going to black wax this whole box with the DIY black wax, and we're wiping that back. We really want to just give that green a shadow. Once I finished waxing this, I was thinking about adding the gold, kind of like I did to everything else. So I thought, why not add some of this to that handle? I'd already added it to this little piece of hardware that we're going to add here. So I wanted to make sure some of the black showed through, so I didn't completely do the whole handle. I did that on both sides. We're just going to do the same thing here and put some very short screws into this. These were a black color, so I made sure that I went back and added some gold and made them look more cohesive with this piece. I knew that when I put this part of the paper in there that I wanted to add a small butterfly. There wasn't one tiny enough on the paper to use in this box for my taste, and I knew that I could use a transfer in conjunction with the paper. Don't forget, you can mix these together. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but you can tell that I did black wax, dark wax all around the edges inside of this box to make that paper kind of blend in. And don't forget to go back and use your same paint color around the edges to make the paper blend in as well. I sealed that up nicely to make it look like it was part of the paper. And now it's time for the photos. If you all enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel. I know there are a lot of you out there that is not subscribed that are watching every time I upload a video. Help a girl out, subscribe, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and let me know which one was your favorite project, and I will see you in the next video.